Hi, this is Sabrina from A Space to Create Art, and today we're going to learn how to shade a sphere. So here we go. I'm just going to draw a sphere, and I'm going to use the 6H just to get my edges, and I'm going to draw very, very lightly. Okay, one of the keys to getting something look three-dimensional is not to have dark edges, okay, because that will flatten the look of any object that you're drawing. Okay, so there's a basic sphere. I'm going to pretend the light is coming from right here for this demonstration, and so the darkest part of my sphere is going to be over here. So I'm using my 6B pencil, and I'm using the edge of my pencil, not the tip, and I'm just going to come around the sphere like this. Now you always want to follow the contour of the object. So you don't want to go across this way or this way. You want to go around on a sphere. Okay, so I'm just going to give this some value. Value is shading. So it's like dark to light and all the values in between. And you can also vary your pressure to get the different shading that you want. Like I'm pressing lighter as I come away, and I'm also layering my pencil, which is another way to keep adding value. And you want to try to keep it going gradually from dark to light. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and switch pencils here in a minute because my light's coming from over here. So I'm going to have this get lighter. Now I'm going to switch to my 2B, still using the edge of my pencil, not the end of the pencil. You want to try to keep this nice and soft. You can also do little tiny circles if you want. I like to turn my paper. Sometimes you can do that. You don't have to do that. And usually there's like a little bit of a light edge. When you're drawing your observational drawings, you can look and see what that looks like. I'll come back and clean up my edges in a minute. So this is where my light is hitting, so I'm going to get pretty light here in a second. And then towards the end, I'm going to draw with my actual blending stump, which is actually the coolest thing to do. I move my paper a lot, and that's just kind of artistic choice. Some people do and some people don't. Here we go. Layering now. Then I'm going to go ahead and take my blending stump. I'm going to start on the darkest edge, and I'm just going to pull across. Not pull across, I'm going to go around my sphere. Just blending those shades a little bit more. I'm going to take a tad bit of lead off of here. Just kind of practice off to the side before you start drawing with this. And also be aware that it matters how hard you press as well. I'm going to lighten that edge in a minute. I feel like it's a little too dark. And so now I'm drawing with my blending stump, getting in those lightest values. You can also do this with your H lead pencil, but if you do that with your H lead pencil, just be aware that you want to keep it nice and soft. And don't press too hard, otherwise you'll end up carving into the paper. The more value or the more shades you can get into it, the more three-dimensional it's going to look when it's done. Okay, so there's a pretty good sphere. I'm also going to take my kneaded eraser and I'm just going to, well, I'm actually going to just take this white eraser and I'm just going to lift up a little bit where I want the lightest part to be. Okay, so now the last thing you want to do is clean up any edges that you have. The eraser is a tool when you're drawing. It's not just to clean, it's not for mistakes as much as it is like a tool to remove shading when you want to clean up edges of objects. So art is always a process and there aren't any really mistakes. It's just going from one step to the next. The last thing you're going to do is add a shadow. So the light's coming from here. So my shadow is going to start here, come around, and be right about there. Now, when you're doing your observational drawing, you want to pay attention. Your shadow might be a little different because the light might be hitting from two different directions. But generally, the shadow is always going to be darkest right along the edge of the object, even darker than the object itself. And kind of the same thing happens where it starts dark, and as it comes out from the object, it gets lighter. Clean up any smudges, that's good, just good craftsmanship. And there you go. There's a shaded sphere.
Have fun drawing. This is Sabrina from A Space to Create Art.